Could the Packers be ready to dominate again? We will look at their chances of making it to the Super Bowl in this video. But before we do that, make sure to hit that like button and get subscribed. It really helps my channel out a lot. The Green Bay Packers are coming off another disappointing season by their standards. They finished with an 8-9 record and missed the playoffs, and they haven't won the Super Bowl since the 2010 season. Now, the team has made some moves in the offseason that could lead them back to the promised land. The team brought in some new offensive weapons in free agency, and then drafted what many consider to be the best wide receiver in the draft in Jordan Love. So on paper, the team looks better than last year. But how good can they really be, and what are their Super Bowl odds? In this video, we'll break down the Packers and see if they are ready to dominate once again. The Packers' offense was one of the worst in the NFL last season. They ranked 26th in yards per game and 24th in points scored. The team just couldn't move the ball consistently, and they struggled in the red zone. This was a big change for the Packers, who had been one of the most explosive offenses in the league for several years. Now there are a few reasons for the decline. The offensive line was a mess last season. They allowed 48 sacks and 35 quarterback hits. This made it tough for Aaron Rodgers to find his rhythm, and the team couldn't establish a running game. The receiving corps was also banged up for most of the season, which didn't help matters. But even when the team was healthy, they just couldn't get on the same page with Aaron Rodgers. Now, all of these issues led to a lot of frustration for Aaron Rodgers, and it eventually came to a head in Week 17 when he threw a pass interference penalty that ended up costing the Packers the game. After the season, the Packers let several offensive players walk in free agency, including left tackle David Bakhtiari, wide receiver Allen Lazard, and tight end Mercedes Lewis. Now, some of these players were brought in to help fix the problems on offense, and it will be interesting to see if the team can improve this year. In free agency, the Packers signed 3 offensive players: wide receiver Randall Cobb, guard Joel Bitonio, and center Josh Myers. Now, Cobb is a veteran player who is familiar with the Packers' offense. He should be able to come in and make an immediate impact. Bitonio is a Pro Bowl caliber guard who should help stabilize the offensive line. Myers is a young player who has potential, but he's also a bit of a project. Now, the Packers also drafted 3 offensive players: wide receiver Jordan Love, guard center Royce Newman, and tackle Sean Ryan. Love is the player everyone is excited about. He's a big, physical wide receiver who can make plays in traffic. Newman and Ryan should help bolster the offensive line. Overall, the Packers have addressed some of their offensive needs this offseason, but it remains to be seen if these new players can come in and make an immediate impact. The team is still a bit of a work in progress, but there is a lot of potential here. If these players can gel quickly, the Packers could have one of the most explosive offenses in the league. Packers defense now. While the Packers offense was struggling last season, the defense wasn't much better. They ranked 22nd in yards per game and 21st in points allowed. The team just couldn't get off the field on third down, and they struggled in the red zone. Now, the Packers did have some bright spots on defense last season. Rashan Gary led the team with 9.5 sacks, and Preston Smith was a force to be reckoned with. Jaire Alexander was also a lockdown corner when he was healthy. Now, overall, the defense wasn't bad, but they weren't good enough to keep the Packers in games when the offense wasn't clicking. Like the offense, the Packers made some changes on defense in free agency and the draft. In free agency, the Packers signed 3 defensive players: linebacker Justin Hollins, safety DJ Montgomery, and cornerback Kemmer Reddick. Hollins is a young player with some upside. He should be able to come in and compete for a starting job. Montgomery and Reddick are both special teams players who can also contribute on defense. Now, in the draft, the Packers selected the defensive players: linebacker Key Walker and defensive lineman Devin Nicholson. Walker is a sideline-to-sideline player who can make plays all over the field. Nicholson is a big, strong defensive lineman who can help stop the run. Overall, the Packers have added some young talent to the defense this offseason. The team is still a bit thin at some positions, but there is a lot of potential here. If these players can develop quickly, the Packers could have one of the most exciting defenses in the league. The Packers' schedule is pretty tough this year. They have to play in the NFC North, which is arguably the toughest division in football. Now, the Packers also have some tough games against other contenders like the Eagles, 49ers, Chiefs, and Bills. Now, the Packers will be at home for the majority of these games, but they will be underdogs in most of them. Now, the Packers do have a few favorable matchups, but overall this is a tough schedule. The team will need to be at their best every week if they want to make the playoffs. Packers coaching staff Matt LaFleur is entering his fourth season as the Packers head coach. In 3 seasons, he's led the team to a 39-30 record and 1 NFC championship game. LaFleur is a very good coach who has the respect of his players. He's also shown that he can win in the regular season. Now, the question is, can he win in the playoffs? The Packers have made the playoffs since 2020, and they haven't won a playoff game since 2021. Now, LaFleur is a winner, and he won't be satisfied until he gets the team back to the playoffs. He's made some key additions to the coaching staff this year, including new defensive coordinator Joe Barry. Barry is a veteran coordinator who has been with the Rams and the 49ers. He's also very familiar with the Packers, having served as their linebackers coach from 2015 to 2018. Now, Barry is a smart, aggressive coach who will put the Packers in position to succeed. The rest of the coaching staff is also very solid. Luke Getsy is a rising star who is in his 2nd season as offensive coordinator. Jerry Gray is a veteran defensive backs coach who is in his 2nd season with the Packers. Now, this is a very experienced coaching staff who knows what it takes to win. Packers outlook: the Packers are in a bit of a transition year. They have a lot of young players who are looking to make an impact. Now, the question is, can they come together quickly and make a playoff run? I think this team is a year away from being a contender, but they could surprise people this year. The schedule is tough, but I think the Packers will be up for the challenge. Matt LaFleur is a winner, and he will have this team ready to go every week. The Packers are not going to be a dominant team this year, but they will be a competitive one. I think the Packers will finish 9-8 and make the playoffs as a wild card. If they can get hot at the right time, they could make a deep playoff run. Now, don't rule out the Packers just yet. They might be a year away from being a contender, but they could surprise people this year. How far can they go in the playoffs? If the Packers were to make the playoffs, they would be a dangerous team to face. They have a lot of weapons on offense, and their defense is underrated. The Packers would be a tough matchup for any team in the playoffs. Now, ultimately, I think the Packers would make it to the NFC Championship game if they were to make it that far. The team is still a bit inexperienced, and they would likely be underdogs in the NFC Championship game. The 49ers, Rams, and Eagles would all be tough matchups for the Packers. Now, the Packers wouldn't win the Super Bowl this year, but they could make a deep run if they got hot at the right time. Are they ready to dominate? I don't think the Packers are ready to dominate just yet. They have a lot of young players who need to develop. Now, the team could surprise people this year, but I think it will be a few years before they are back to being a dominant team. Now, the Packers are in good shape for the future. They have a lot of young talent, and Matt LaFleur is a proven winner. Don't count the Packers out just yet. They might be a few years away from being a contender, but they could surprise people this year. Do you think the Packers can make the Super Bowl? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Make sure to hit that like button and get subscribed. It really helps my channel out a lot. Thanks for watching.